Okay. So just need your mat, ball. Well, I have a strap, but a towel will work as well. Let's start with the feet. All right, so I'm leaning up against my wall. I'm gonna scoot back a little bit here. So I'm using my wall here so I can concentrate on the foot. Okay, so we're gonna spend a little bit more time on the feet. We usually do on Mondays. Really want to get those feet loosened up. So if I go this way, you can see I'm going between the heel of my foot, ball of my foot, back and forth, and then finding those 3 zones out by the pinky, up the middle, and then inside into that arch. Start with just a nice light touch back and forth. And then as you get familiar with it, maybe go a little bit deeper, right? This is what we call scraping the tissue. So we're scraping that fascia on the bottom of the foot, the plantar fascia. And we're going to do it a little bit with the toes pulled up, a little bit with the toes just in that neutral position, right? And as we're rolling, feeling for tight spots, right? Trigger points, adhesions, I can feel them here in this foot, right there in my arch space. Seems to be where I feel it the most so far. All right, so coming up, we're going to do what we call polka dotting, or just pressing down. What we're really doing is a press and or pin and stretch. So we're going to press down, aiming for those trigger points, and then we're going to move the toes to get those tissues to stretch out of that trigger point. All right, so we're just going to keep rolling here for about 30 seconds, kind of make a little game plan in your head of what parts of this foot you're going to hit with that polka dotting, all right, with that pin and stretch. And we're going to stay on the same foot. We're going to work all one foot and then flip to the other foot, all right? So a lot of different sections we're going to target today. Back and forth, little toes up, little toes relaxed. I know, going back to those trigger points, I'm going to find that one that was in the the arch of my foot. I'm going to push down, hold, and then I'm going to really, not just wiggle the toes, but really pick them up and move them. So this is my feet. I'm really trying to lift and spread my toes. All right, and then I'm going to rock back off. I'm going to push down and hold. Really try to lift and spread those toes a few times. Rock back off. Find a new spot. Rock on, lift and spread the toes, rock off. Finding that ball into that arch space or wherever that trigger point is, and then stretching. And our breath, right? We never want to forget that breath. Should never be taking the breath away. We want to move with it. Big inhales and exhales. Good, still pin and stretch. Just do a couple more here. Good, okay, so now if my hand was my foot, right here along the ball, we want to put the ball of the foot, we're going to put the tennis ball right below the ball of the foot space. And what we're going to do is just going to roll back and forth. So how do we do that? We roll the ankle, right? So notice it's just below the ball of my foot. Now I'm going to roll the ankle from one side to the other, right? And as we've talked about before, a lot of that roll is going to come from the hip, and that's okay. We just want to get that ball moving across those tissues. So we're going across a horizontal pattern rather than a vertical pattern here. A little bit of a cross fiber. And then as you get this motion going, see if you can get as much of that motion to come in the ankle as you can. Right? So you're still going to move the hip. You got to move the hip. See if you can look down and get that ankle rolling. We want that ankle to roll with control, obviously, right? Because when we accidentally roll our ankle, we want that control to pull it back. All right, so we're digging in, rolling side to side, and just maybe moving the ball down towards the heel a little bit as we continue to roll side to side. Big inhales and exhales. Again, going across the lines of the fascia here. This is a cross fiber roll. Right. Maybe moving the ball down a little bit further towards the heel. Back and forth. Good. Now I want you to put the ball anywhere between the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot. Right? Just find a spot, maybe a spot that's a little more tight. You push down, hold it, and then I want you to really grip that ball as if you're going to pick it up off the floor. And now throw it away. So we're going to pick up those toes and spread them wide. I'm going to pick up the ball again and throw it away. Okay? We're going to do this here for 30 more seconds. So I have pressure on the ball, and I'm crunching up my toes, and I'm lifting and spreading them. Crunching up my toes and lifting and spreading. Good. Good. Okay, and just 30 more seconds. Anywhere that you want to go back to, whether it's rolling that vertical pattern, rolling crossways, doing those polka dots, push down, hold, release, or try to grip the ball and let it go, or just push down and hold. And sometimes you can even push a little bit with that opposite foot. Just do a little bit of the top of the foot massage there. I'm kind of just exploring the top of my foot with my other foot, just giving it a little rub. Good. Just keep the breath. All right, so let's take that foot, give it a good shake out. Okay. Lean into the wall, give that leg, whole leg a good shake, all the way down into the ankle. And then just do that. Stand one, stand the other. How's your balance? How do those muscles in that leg feel? Not just the foot, the ankle, but higher up as well. That side on me, the side I just rolled, feeling much lighter and alive. But even the knees, I can feel that difference, especially for me in the knees. I feel like my knees aren't quite as locked up after I roll my feet. All right, so let's switch to the other side. Vertical roll first. Back and forth. Remember our 3 zones, right? Into that arch space, up the middle, and then on that outer edge on the pinky toe side. Start with a nice light roll back and forth. Again, we call this scraping. It sounds a little not so nice, but just think of you're on a wall and you have wallpaper and you're kind of trying to get that wallpaper off, right? And as you work on it, you realize there's a little bit more than you want, so you got to push a little harder to release that gunkiness, right? We got that adhesion, that gunkiness in the bottom of our feet, in that plantar fascia, and that's what we're trying to release here. Right? Just a little bit longer here, and as we're rolling, remember we're taking a little checklist of the spots that are tight, and we're going to target those. We go back to our polka dotting or pin and stretch. Okay, so I'm finding pretty much the same thing on this side. I've got a little tight spots, mostly in that arch space, not much on the outside today. I'm going to target my arch space here as we go into polka dot. So again, push down, hold, wiggle, not just wiggle, but move those toes. Push down, hold, move the toes. And remember, we're staying in that same space, the space between the ball of your foot and the heel of your foot. We don't want to push on the heel. But really challenge yourself to move those toes as far away from each other as you can. And maybe even look down at the toes. And notice if you have them lift and spread, can you move just the big toe separate from the other four? Right? Big toe does a lot of work. That if we're going to confuse or crunch up our toes, we don't let that big toe do the work. The big toe is kind of a spring. So we walk and push off. Most of that push off should be there in that big toe. We want that big toe to really kind of be its own, like our thumb, right? We want it to move on its own and not just be locked down to the other four toes. Got it. All right. So now putting it just below the ball, you can kind of see here, and we're going to roll. Okay? Roll in, roll out, roll in, roll out. So going, again, cross friction here. And I start just below the ball. And then I'm just going to inch that ball a little bit closer back to the heel. Just a little bit at a time. Rolling in, rolling out. Good. Right. And push down. Good. Okay. Now putting it back right below the ball, and again, curl up like you're going to pick up the ball and then throw it away. And curl up like you're going to pick it up and then throw it away. And then here, again, see if you can get that big toe to move just a little bit independent of the other four. Pick up the ball, curl, and then throw it away. Pick up the ball, curl, throw it away. Good. And just finish up here on this foot, whatever you feel like you need to. If you want to go back to the first foot, that's fine as well. Whether that's horizontal, that rolling side-to-side motion, vertical back and forth, the polka dots, moving the toes, working the breath here. Big inhales and exhales. Good, and shake that out. Do a little side-to-side step. Good. All right, so we're going to stretch our feet a little differently today. We're going to come down to the floor into a kneeling, and I forgot to put in an email earlier, but if you need a pillow or something to kneel on, please go ahead and grab that. I'm going to bring my feet, you can see me, I'm going to try to bring my feet as close together as I can, my toes tucked, and then I'm just going to sit back on my feet. Now you're in control of how much, obviously, sitting back you do, but the goal is to stretch the bottom of the feet here, so you have to have those toes tucked, right? Ankles together if you can, and just sit back. And take 3 breaths here. Good, and then rock forward, untuck the toes, putting the tops of the feet on the floor, and again, trying to keep those ankles glued together, and now just sit down as much as you can back onto those heels. And again, you can put that pillow here between the back of your legs and your feet as well. Big inhales and exhales. And if this isn't working for you, then feel free, please, to go back to the wall like we normally do, right? Pushing toes into the wall, toes into the floor, coming forward. Okay, so we're just alternating between toes tucked, stretching the bottom of the feet, and tops of the feet on the floor. Big inhale and exhale. So this one, stretching the top of the foot. So this is my foot, right? And this is my ankle. Stretching this space. Maybe rocking a little side to side. Might feel it up the front of the shin a little bit as well, just depending on how much tightness you have in here. Okay, and just 30 more seconds here on the feet, and then we're going to flip over and roll the calves. Alrighty, so using our ball, you're gonna flip over. Using your ball, you're gonna find the calf. Okay, so just put it anywhere in the calf to start, and we're just gonna roll, do a little horizontal, little vertical, just like we did with the foot. And I just want you to explore first, just like we did with the feet. Just explore, see what you can find. Right, I'm up high in that gastroc space. I'm gonna push it down low, right? So I'm right on, that ball's kind of nuzzling up to the outside bone, my fibula, right? And then on the inside, right up against that tibia, right? And I'm not on the Achilles tendon, but just above it, where that tendon kind of blends into the muscle. That's what I'm targeting down here. And see how much ankle movement I'm doing here as I push down and hold, then bring it up higher, right? Doing those bigger tissues up here, both the inside edge, outside edge. And remember, I can pull that big gastroc away, and where my fingers are, that gastroc pulled out of the way can target that underneath muscle, right? The soleus muscle. Good. Press and hold, and movement. Good. Just spend about 30 more seconds on this side, and then we'll switch. Good. All right, and then shaking out that leg. Okay, I'm just kind of got that foot on the floor, just allowing that muscle to shake out a little bit. Maybe even use your hands. Just get that release, just a little bit of light touch, rubbing in that space. And switch sides. Okay. So same thing on this side, inner edge, outer edge. We have that outer edge fibula bone, inner edge tibia bone, so you can nuzzle that ball right up next to, not on the bone, but right up next to, and then right there in that low space just above the Achilles. You can spend some time going up and down, side to side. Really focus on moving right there at the ankle, big circles. And I'm going to move up a little bit, move up the chain, still moving my ankle. Go up a little bit higher. Good. And then on the outside edge. Good. And then pulling, again, pulling that calf in, or pulling it out, sorry, and putting that ball right in that space. Targeting that soleus. And again, soleus is the muscle that does this movement, right? Pulls the toes up to the shin, points it back. Right, so if you're in that space, do some pointing and flexing of the toes. Good. Just a little bit longer here. All right, so we're going to stretch those calf muscles. And today we're going to do it in the down dog. Now, if the down dog doesn't work for you, feel free to use the wall like we normally do. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. All right, in down dog, you can start all fours, toes tucked, coming up. And I really want you to focus on that tailbone reaching up for the ceiling. And then we're paddling the feet. And as we're paddling the feet, really push your heel down to the floor. And I want those toes and your feet really nice and wide. So push the heel down. And think about that big toe on both feet. Can you push the big toe down as you alternate? Imagine that big toe being a spring, right? And the other four toes spread nice and wide across. Get the belly button pulled in. And we're just doing this pedaling. So here we're focusing on the calf. We're getting a little bit through the hamstring as well. Okay. And see if you can press and hold. Maybe hold on one side. Press and hold. Really driving that heel down and lifting the tailbone up in opposition. Just a little bit longer here. Good, and then we're just gonna walk in, bring our feet to our hands, roll up. And then we're gonna come to the wall now. Moving up a little bit, we're gonna focus on the quad, okay? So we talked about this before, that IT band that runs from the knee up to the hip. It's kind of that midline. We're going to put it in front, right? The front part of your midline and roll in this space here. So we don't want to go too low. We don't want to go down by the knee because that's mostly just fibrous IT band. We want to hit that vastus lateralis, which is out here. And we're going to just bend the knee and just move that ball, maybe, I don't know, what's that, 3 to 4 inches at a time, down towards the knee, and then back up towards the hip. And how do I do that? Just kind of drop a little bit and have that ball just roll down and roll back up. And then if I want to move the ball to travel just a little bit different space, I'm just going to move it further down towards the knee or further up towards the hip. So again, the ball is sitting right on this top part above the IT band, and we're just rolling here. All right, now you find a trigger point. I've got one right here on my right side, so pretty much right here, but on my other leg. I'm going to push and hold. So as I'm pushing, trigger points here, I'm kind of pushing, rotating that leg out so that I'm pushing directly the ball into the wall. And I'm taking some breaths here. I can even take that inside arm up and reach over the top. Good. And whenever you're ready, you can switch to the other side. And you can go a little bit more to the front of the quad. How do you do that? You just have to look like you're kissing the ball or kissing the wall a little bit, right? So now I've got the ball a little bit more on top. It's on that outer edge, but it's more on top. Now I'm just kind of rolling down and up the wall. Okay. So try to explore as much as you can through your quads here. That's a little awkward, but you can target these spaces a little bit better with the ball than you can with the roller, and we don't have the roller, so we're just going to use that ball to kind of feel around in a vertical pattern, maybe a little bit of that cross friction, side to side, maybe even a circular pattern. Just finding what's tight in that quad space. Okay, so again, we don't want to roll the IT band. That's that real fibrous tissue that's out there. And you'll feel it when you get to it because it really does not feel good. Try to stay in the front of that space. And we want to keep those quads able to contract and relax, because if they lock up, then that hip flexor can lock up, hip flexor locks up, glutes lock up. Good. All right, so now we're going to target the quad in a stretch. And we're going to do 2 stretches here. One of them, the second one, you might want to grab a pillow for. So you're going to grab your traditional quad stretch, heel into the butt, knee tucked in underneath the hip, also tucked in so it's not forward or back. And I want you to hold here. So yes, I'm using the wall. That hand that's holding the foot, that shoulder's rolled back. I've got that knee tucked, hip pressing forward. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now when I say go, I want you to kick the top of your foot into your hand and hold that resistance. Ready, set, and go. We're gonna hold here for 15 seconds. So keep kicking, kicking, kicking. Should feel that quad lengthening. Keep that breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the heel back in. And keep holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to do that kick and hold. This time for 10. Go. Kick and hold, 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 hold. Keep kicking. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back in and hold here for 10 seconds. And release. Good. Shake out that leg. Go ahead and grab the other. Okay. Heel into the butt. Knee tucked in. So it's right underneath the hip. Using the wall for balance is fine. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. When I say go, you're going to kick your foot into your hand and hold. Ready? And go. Kick, kick, kick. We're here for 15 seconds. Should feel that quad lengthening. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back in tight and hold for 15 seconds. Keep pulling. Hold, 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 hold. Keep that knee tucked. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kick and hold for 10 seconds. Keep kicking, kicking, kicking. Hold, 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 hold. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back in tight for 10. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Shake those quads out. Okay. Now go back to our side-to-side step. Okay. As you balance on one leg, you should have activation of those quad muscles and the glutes, right? And you're in that one leg balance. So back to mountain. If you think of yoga, right? Mountain pose. What are we doing? We're trying to pull those kneecaps up, right? To activate the quads. That's what this single leg stance should feel like. And we've woken up the feet, the calves, and the quads. You should have some nice quad activation here. All right, so I'm gonna save that other quad stretch for another day. We're running short on time. Come on down to the mat. We're gonna use our strap or towel, whatever you have, to do a little bit of hamstring. Okay, focus on the hamstring, but we've activated those quads. So we're really going to get those quads active, because as the quads get more active, we're going to get more length out of the hamstring as well. Okay, so taking your towel, strap, whatever you have, put it around one foot. I'm going to start out with just that hamstring stretch number 1, which is heel over hip. Okay, I want you to focus on that hip. Make sure it's not rocking up, right? It's nice and tight into your floor. Your other leg can be bent, it can be straight, whatever feels best to you. And I want you to kind of give a little tug on that band so you feel the stretch. Okay, not only that, I want you to tighten that quad in the front. So tighten that quad as much as you can. Feel how that gives you a little bit more lengthening up the back of your leg here. And even go as far as just a little knee bend. And then straighten. And on that straighten, not that you have to get the knee straight, but see if you can really try to turn on the quad here. Okay? So not so much the back of the knee going away, but again, turn on the quad, reach the heel up, press the hip down. Think of opposition. Turn on the quad, reach the heel up, press the hip down. Let's do 5 more. Good. Now using your band for assistance, you're going to take that leg out to the same side. And here, do a little bit of the same. Bend the knee and then straighten. And again, you're reaching that heel away as if somebody's pulling your leg out of that hip socket. Here in this position, you're going to get a little more stretch through that inner quad, right? So you can activate that vastus medialis. And let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Coming back to center. Turning the big toe to face the center of your body. Make sure the hip stays put. Maybe squeeze your fingers back there so you can check. And then bringing that leg across. Again, not lifting up the hip. You can even use your fingers to kind of peel that hip back as the leg reaches away. And good, bring that back. So we're going to switch sides here. The easiest thing to do is take that second foot up, put it in, and then drop the first. Okay, so back to hamstring stretch number 1, heel over hip. Make sure that hip is parked. We're going to focus on this vastus medialis right here. Can we activate this as we reach the heel up? Press the hip down. And let's just keep breathing here. And see how much of that quad activation we can get. And let's do 4 more. 4, you might even want to just kind of poke at that muscle a little bit. 3, 2, and turn it on, turn it on, turn it on, turn it on, reach, 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 and take it out to the same side. Now, same thing, bend the knee, straighten. Good, and then come back to center, turning that big toe in. Make sure this hip stays. Bring it across the body, and you can do the same thing here. Just little knee bends. This is called hamstring flossing. This stretch you should feel in that outer hamstring space. Good, and then coming back to center, we're going to take 1 more minute here on the hamstring. So if you want to go ahead and switch back to that first leg, out to the side, across the body, straight up the middle, whatever you feel like you could benefit from here, doing just a little bit extra work. And after this, we're going to go to legs on the wall and finish up with our breath. All right. And go ahead and find your wall. We are going to sit up with legs up the wall, and we're going to start with knees and hips at 90 degrees. Okay, so I've got my feet right up here, hips at 90, knees at 90. We're just going to push a little bit into those feet and just peel the tailbone up off the mat. So I've got about that much of a lift. Okay, you can see it there, maybe 3 inches up and down. So don't think of this as a glute bridge. Think of it more as a tailbone curl up and lengthen as you come down. So think about peeling your tailbone as if it was tape, right? As you push in the wall, imagine from the tailbone peeling up just a little bit at a time. You're only going to go about 3 inches up off the mat. And then as you go back down, you want to think about stretching that tape as you put it back on the mat. Go ahead. So arms out, push into the wall, peel up. Go ahead and imagine the very end of your tailbone as the end of that tape, and you're stretching the tape towards the wall as you peel it, press it back down to the mat. And do a few more reps here. And come back down. And push in, peel up. And peel down. And push in, peel up. And back down. Good. Should feel that in that low back space. What we're doing is we're just taking that lumbar area and just kind of stretching it out. Okay, so now we can go hips closer to the wall, as close as you can get, then legs up the wall. And I just want you to find a comfortable space here. I want you to explore and feel what works for you. Okay, it could be legs or heels straight over the hips. You could have your hips go out in a V and just let the toes rotate open, get a little inner thigh stretch. I just want you to find a space where you can breathe, relax, keep that openness that we found in the low back. Maybe find a little bit more on the inner thighs. And now just start with the breath. So big inhales. Remember that our inhale always starts in the belly. That breath continues through the diaphragm, that big muscle between the belly space and the lungs. And then continue the breath into the lungs, allowing those lungs to fully inflate. And open up that rib cage in all directions. And then on the exhale, start with the lungs and rib cage. Take it through the diaphragm. Finish by pulling the belly button in towards the spine. Send all the air back up. Send that pelvic floor up towards your center. And that's one entire breath. I encourage you to do about 4 or 5 at least more breaths like this with legs up the wall, any comfortable position. Spend some time here for yourself. Everything tends to feel better after taking some deep, thoughtful breaths. All right, and that's our time for today. Hope you enjoyed. Feel a little bit looser. Roll your feet a little bit every day. Definitely you'll feel the difference. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.